Hello, and welcome to Weekend Wisdom. I'm your host, Tracy Whitney. Weekend Wisdom is the short podcast of creatingafamily.org that focuses on answering your questions to strengthen your family. If you have a question about adoption, foster care, or kinship care, send it to info@creatingafamily.org and we'll put you in the queue. Today, we're talking about domestic infant adoption. Jen wrote in to ask us the following question. I have listened to hundreds of adoption-related podcast episodes, but very few of them talk directly about talking directly with a potential birth mother. We were matched with an expectant mother who wanted to be able to communicate with us directly, so we agreed, believing that it would help us form a better relationship. However, we were mentally unprepared for the wavering she expressed to us. Despite being so certain when we first met her, as the pregnancy went on, she then had thoughts of parenting. The match ended with disruption, but I would love to hear a podcast on how to handle oneself in that situation. An episode of another podcast talked about how to handle situation at the hospital during birth, but I felt something dedicated to communication through the pregnancy would be helpful. Thanks for such a helpful podcast. Well, thank you, Jen, for sharing your story and for this question. I'm sorry this match didn't work out for you and for your partner. I hope that you are taking some time to process it and to prepare your hearts and minds for the next steps in your journey to building your family. I love that your premise for communicating with an expectant mother during her pregnancy can help you form a better relationship with her. And it's true, forming that relationship can become the foundation for ongoing connection for both you and the child that you adopt. We are big fans of openness in adoption whenever it can be done safely and whenever relationships can stay healthy. Research shows us that openness in adoption is good for the children, and this means it can also be good for the birth parents and the adoptive family too. So, to your question about building that relationship with an expectant parent, I think forming this kind of relationship with an expectant mother is pretty much like forming any relationship that you are invested in and that you desire to be long-lasting and ongoing and healthy. It takes an openness and a willingness to know her and to be known by her. It takes curiosity, it takes compassion, and it takes time. So, while the length of her pregnancy may not be enough time to form a solid, lifelong bond, it certainly can give you plenty of time to start forming a good foundation if you are both interested in moving forward with that. However, it's crucial to remember that an expectant mother is in a very challenging season. She's facing what might be the very most difficult decision she's ever made in her life. So while you're ready to go, dive in deep and form a relationship with her, she might need to kind of go at a slower pace. She's definitely going to need your empathy and your compassion, and she may need some time to picture what this might become over that mutual bonding and connection of over the child that you hope to adopt. Her wavering in this instance is only natural. Many expectant parents experience doubt and confusion about their plans. And when you put her first in this dynamic of your ongoing or building relationship, as opposed to putting your interest in adopting her baby first, you can approach her and be someone who helps her feel secure and confident no matter what decision she makes. If you are treading lightly and letting her kind of take the lead in how much connection she wants and how deeply she allows you to form that connection, then you're showing her that you value her and that you see where she is and what she's facing. Focusing on what she's ready for and what she's willing to offer and who she is as a whole person, not just as an expectant mom that you're hoping to build an adoption relationship with, will help her and you be equipped to handle what's coming next. So, speaking of what's coming next, you mentioned wanting to know how to handle yourself when a disruption occurs. When a woman changes her mind and decides to parent instead of place for adoption, she needs to know that her decision is respected and valued. Even if you're disappointed at her change in plans, and it's natural to be disappointed about that, she deserves to know that you get it and that you get her and that you value that decision even in the midst of your own disappointment. If you've spent time building this relationship by focusing your time and efforts on seeing her and knowing her and letting yourself be known by her as a whole person, it gives her space to do what she feels is best for her and for her child. And it gives you space to support her. And then, even if it's painful to do so, release her to do what is the right thing for her and for her family. Yes, you'll be sad. Yes, she may feel guilty. She may feel sad, but it'll still have communicated to her along the way that she's not just the mother of a child you hope to adopt. She's a whole person who has a lot of context that goes into whatever final decision she makes. I hope this helps, Jen. It can be very painful, and we are very sorry for your grief. We do have many resources on our website regarding open adoption and working with expectant parents if you have more questions, and we'll link those in the show notes for you. We wish you luck on the next steps of building your family, and thank you so much for writing in. And to the rest of you listening in on this conversation, thank you for listening today. Could you please leave us a rating or a review wherever you're catching this podcast? We are committed to bringing this kind of helpful information to as many families as we can, and your feedback helps us do that. Take care, and we'll talk to you next week.